Alright guys, welcome to this fresh playthrough of Cold Spellbreaker. Basic ground rules we're going to be doing is, this isn't a full account reset, but all pieces of gear I have to find myself. That means no crafting from blueprints or anything along those lines, and so forth. So it's basically SSF, but I'm not going to reset the accounts. That's kind of where we are. But it's going to be pretty close to what you would otherwise be doing on a fresh start. So we're going to demonstrate leveling a fresh cold spellbreaker with, ultimately we're probably going to use spectral longswords. Hey, welcome in, Meatball. We were reminded of how slow killing stuff is at first. Yeah, this initial starting part is going to be a little bit slow because we have no gear. We don't even have a second melee weapon. Okay, we're level 2. So that lets us select Nightblade. Once we confirm 1 point in the mastery bar or any skill, we can no longer change our mind. Not that we're going to, but... Alright, so I'm going to put 1 point in dual blade so that we will be able to dual wield. And we're going to push the Shadow Strike as quickly as possible. So we're not going to fight the first boss until we actually get at least dual wielding. You lost another hardcore character, Meatball. That's rough. Okay, so we are now dual wielding. I tend to like weapon attack on right mouse and Shadow Strike on left, so we will be doing that. Oh yeah, I think it was in another stream when you were talking about the Lucius shotgun. Yeah, that's a rough way to go. Alright, so this is going to be our first monster infrequent item. It's not really that great for us, but... And it's... requires 62 physique. Which we actually can get to. So this does a little bit more damage. This will, just every little upgrade when you're doing a fresh start is helpful. Good day, welcome in, Viley. let's find Faldus. We rescue him, send him back to Devil's Crossing. Yeah, so since we're doing a fresh start, every single one of these Aether Crystals is actually important for us to get. Alright, so we really do want to rush for Shadow Strike, but I think we'll take a 1 point in Pneumatic Burst just to have a tiny bit of a heal. It's not going to be that useful, but every little bit helps. Let's see if we can get one more level before we have to fight this boss. I mean, if we wander around, we will get one more level, so maybe we should do that. I'd like to be able to Shadow Strike when we fight him. Puncturing of Alacrity, that could be interesting. This is actually not really that much of an upgrade, at least superficially. You're gonna do a Vita Presser. Meatball, that sounds like a fun build. Yeah, we have no gear, no resist or anything, so I'm treating these mobs with a little bit more respect than I normally do. Alright. 1 or 2 more kills, we should get to level 5. I guess we're just barely missing out on Shadow Strike, unless we go in at level 6. Let's try not to stand in poison either. Yeah, we have no damage, so everything takes forever to kill. Right now, we're just taking every little thing we can get. Alright, I think we just have to deal with this. Oh, we don't want to go in the Putrid Den. That's Pusquil. There we go. I will take a look at some point, Meatball. I want to kind of get going a little bit with this this build. Alright, so this is the boss that we're supposed to kill. Alright, and he's dead. Alright, so that gets us to level 6. We now can put a point in Shadow Strike. And anytime you are dual wielding, you want to take this node for... It lets you cast your heal skill more often. It also increases your health regen. And we will... well, 1 point Veil of Shadow. Eventually we're going to want this node for the reduction to enemy resistances. But we're not quite there yet. So that's going to get us to level 6. So since this is a fresh start, there are going to be things like finding the scrap for Barnabas. And then, yeah, this quest gives you a skill point. We just have to get this scrap quest for now. We don't actually have access to all of it. And we're only tolerated. Unfortunately, I mean that's another thing with a fresh start is you're not going to have access to all the faction mandates, so getting rep is a bit more of a grind. Welcome in, Chuck Shepard. Doing pretty well. We're doing a just a fresh start cold Spellbreaker today. Figured this is something that can be uploaded to YouTube and at least sort of demonstrate how one goes about leveling, what the build looks like at different stages. Right now, we just have to be careful of pretty much everything, because these resists, these are not good. Alright, we'll put 1 point in Phantasmal Armor. This is a very nice Nightblade passive. It gives armor, pierce res, freeze, and petrify res, as well as energy absorption from enemy spells, which is pretty nice. We'll put 1 more point into Shadow Strike, 1 more into Dual Blades. Alright, eventually we'll get up to the Whitemire Rift Gate. I'm kind of taking our time here a bit. Which will release a bunch of enemies. Yep. So just kill all the enemies that Riftgate spawns, and we can use it ourselves. And now that we have Shadow Strike, we'll equip it on our skill bar. As you can see, Shadow Strike hits much harder than our basic weapon attack. We were ultimately hoping to get some scrap. We need it to progress the quest line. So we have some components, like chilled steel increases the cold damage our weapons do. Generally, you're going to want to use components as quickly as possible, unless you have a specific reason not to. But and some of them will have like a skill like Ice Spike or Fire Blast, which you can use. Right now, I'm just kind of demonstrating the Nightblade dual wield melee play style. So we're not. This is probably a very dangerous totem to click on. We might die, but totems are also a very good early source of loot. Alright, this is Gilius. There is a quest we get to kill him and a couple of other mobs. All right, let's try the totem. You can always run away. I mean, thing is, we're chunking the elite even without any gear for about half of his health, which is pretty nice when we engage with Shadow Strike. That's with trash weapons and only a couple points in it, so you can kind of see how Shadow Strike is going to be very powerful once we get good gear and put points in the skill. Alright, that gets us a bunch of gear. See if any of it's good. Right now we're looking for resists. We're also looking for any sort of a damage upgrade. Like, right now we have a Salt Bag Amulet, which is utter junk. Even this Crushing Claw Fetish, which gives us 1 to 2 flat physical damage, is better. So, on it goes. Yeah, so that's going to go on as well. Okay, these pants give us a little bit of fire res and lightning res, which is better than having nothing. Yeah, you also want to be putting points in your I could put 5 in physique for now. I'll put 1 point in this second node of pneumatic burst. This gives us defensive ability as well as chance to avoid being hit by melee attacks or projectiles, and also reduce entrapment duration, so trap resists, basically. Our HP is also very low right now. For hardcore, I think you want, for a level 100 endgame character, you want about, I'd say minimum 17,000 HP. which translates to 170 per level. So right now at level 9, we'd ideally have about 1500, but we're not there yet. And just checking, we haven't picked up that much scrap. Hopefully that will change eventually, because we do need scrap, like I said, to give to Barnabas and move the quest line along. Just we're slowly getting levels. Alright, so in this cave there's going to be a shrine, which we will we'll get. It's a combat shrine, so we have to defeat enemies versus make an offering of a component. Alright, we don't have room in our inventory for this. It's also... Let's see, these boots might be an upgrade. Yeah, definitely. Physique, cunning, percent OA, pierce, and bleed res. Yeah. Alright, so you go to the devotion screen. This thing looks incredibly complicated. Actually, the safe thing for us to do here is to go to town so that we don't get attacked while we're in it. So yeah, we go to our devotion screen, and for instance, we're going to be playing a cold Nightblade, so we can enter cold damage, and that shows you everything that supports cold damage. A lot of times what you'll do planning your devotions is to take one of these outer tier 3 devotions. In this case, we'll be going for Yugal, and this needs 7 red affinity and 20 green affinity. So you figure out, you know, where you're going to get that affinity from. You know, for instance, you take a crossroads, and then that will let you take something like Fox. Fox will give us, once we complete it, requires a green crossroads. It'll give us 5 green affinity and be self-sustaining once it's done. We'll demonstrate this with a different devotion, though. One of my go-to devotions for hardcore is Turtle. It gives us some decent nodes. This is health, DA, increases armor, and it gives us this circuit breaker, which the recharge goes down as it levels and the damage absorption goes up. So eventually you end up getting up to 6,000 damage absorption, which is essentially a little bit of additional health. So we'll take the yellow crossroads, and we can now select anything that requires 1 yellow. We'll be going with tortoise. and we'll complete this. And once we complete that, we will be able to go to the spirit guide and get this yellow crossroads back, and we can then use that devotion point for something else. In any event, we still don't have the scrap, so we're just going to keep going to Burwich Village. There's also a mob up here that we can kill that gives us some XP. And there's a quest that he's the third of a group of mobs that this guy Harmon in Devil's Crossing is going to ask us to take care of. So these pants are going to give us Pierce and Poison Res, which is generally better than Fire Lightning. Because usually you can get something called Elemental Resist, which gives you Fire, Cold, and Lightning Resist. Whereas Impervious gives you Pierce and Poison. At least the good version of Impervious, which is here. So I'll put these on. This is also going to give us a little bit more HP. See, our health goes up to almost 1200 now. So we're doing a little bit better in that regard. So here we find... or we'll find a guy, Luther Graves, who's a merchant that we can rescue. Here he is. Trying to... Oh, we got another scrap. Very nice. That's 4 out of 5 we have now. We're using Evade to kind of jump around so that we don't get surrounded. These mobs by themselves aren't that dangerous, but if you get surrounded by enough enemies, even on normal difficulty, you can die. So we're trying to not let that happen. This isn't Path of Exile 2, though, so even if we're surrounded, we can still use our Evade, and we don't get blocked in. Alright, I think we're going to upgrade and put this armor on. It's going to give us a little bit more health, cunning, and chaos res. We lose a little bit of physique, but our health is still going up overall. And yeah, like we're doing all right slowly. We're getting there. Blues only mythical Oathbreaker Vile. That's interesting, I guess. don't think that's an item I've ever really wanted to use. Heavily abuses the season mod, right, because you can affix all the blues. So, on a fresh playthrough, we probably won't have the materials to repair this bridge here. And I'm definitely not going to spend 3 scrap when we haven't even given Barnabas our scrap. So, I guess technically we could, but you're usually going to go through the flooded passage here. The flooded passage is also going to give you a shrine. And we have 3 of these Slith necklaces, which means when we get a chance, we can go back to Whitemire. And there's a quest for the Rover faction there that we give them 3 Slith necklaces, they'll give us a ring. The ring is actually pretty decent for resists. So we'll probably take that ring. What's up, Master Halls? Welcome in. Yeah, we're doing a classic cold Spellbreaker, but you're doing it as a fresh start. Sort of demonstrate how you slowly would gear up. These guys are going to swarm us if we try to go for the shrine, so we kind of do have to kill them. Yeah, and there are a ton of these guys. Would be nice if any of these dropped us scrap, but yeah, that's the thing with a fresh playthrough is you might get all the stuff you need early, or you might just suffer for it a little bit. Okay, so we have another combat shrine here. And we just got a pair of shoulders from the shrine. So other than a relic and a medal, we have gear everywhere. Alright. I'm going to 1-point this for now. This will give us a little bit more damage. As an aura, it'll also give us resist reduction once we're actually doing legitimate pierce or cold damage. Alright, so this boss here, if you are playing a Force Wave build or you're playing a Demolitionist and you want a boost to offensive ability, yeah, dodge that Sunder. Okay, and he drops us a Searing of Soul Warding, which requires player level 18, and you can see here it gives plus to Force Wave. It also gives % offensive ability to Flame Touched and some other things, so it's a very good, especially for Commando Amulet, but yeah, anytime you're leveling Force Wave, this is pretty much your go-to. Thank you for the follow, and welcome in, Lumpy Noggin. Alright, so we get this Rift Gate.
Oh, hello, traveler.
So you can either side with this guy Duncan, or you can side with Angram, who he's sending you after. And we are going to side with Angram because, in general, he's just the better blacksmith. Every smith is going to have their own unique crafting bonuses. Angrams tend to be more useful for endgame. If you're on a fresh start and you're playing Fire Strike, Duncan can actually be useful to side with, but I think that's very much an exception, and it's not something that matters for us. Alright, so
Move along now.
alright, so we side with Angram here. And again, we don't have any real gear, so we have no resistances, pretty much. So everything hurts. Even on normal, we have to respect it. Alright, I put one more point in Shadow Strike, continue to push up the Mastery bar. We want to get at least to this Nidala's Justifiable Ends, which it gives us crit damage, poison damage, and reduces our recharge for Shadow Strike, so we can Shadow Strike more often. And I mean, if that's our main skill, we want to use it as often as possible. Alright, so in this cave, there's also another shrine. Which requires an Aether Crystal, I believe, on normal. So that's actually pretty easy for us, since there's a bunch of Aether Crystals in the cave to begin with. Yeah, let's not get surrounded. Alright, so we'll take 2 more points in Tortoise. Next Devotion Shrine we get, we'll be able to get the Tortoise proc. And have our first Circuit Breaker. We're still at 4 scraps, so that kind of prevents this entire quest line from progressing. There are 2 bosses or elites here. We managed to get one to come out by himself, which is pretty good to not have to fight them both at once. Not normally an issue, but on a fresh start character, which doesn't have that much damage or survivability, I'd rather not deal with them both. So we got a good pull there. Superior Mutant Bludgeon of Bestial Rage. Let's see. Alright, this requires level 18, so we're nowhere near even being able to use this if we wanted to. Alright, we're just gonna kind of hang back a little bit, respect this guy, hit and run. Like, once we have good damage, we can face tank a lot more, but it's gonna take a minute to get us there. Alright, so normally you're not going to bother with rescuing Ulgrim on normal difficulty. It's just not worth a lot of experience. But I feel like on a fresh start, you kind of want to do all those quests, for every little bit helps. Hopefully eventually we get some good resists on gear, because right now this is pretty painful, but it ends relatively quickly. Okay. We have level 20. We can Actually, we'll take Ring of Steel. It does give us a little bit of AoE. So that's actually probably worth it. Alright, let's see if there's anything. Actually, Impervious of Destruction. Let's see, our current shoulders give us Vit, Res, OA, Lightning, and Aether damage. This is Pierce Cold Elemental. That's definitely an improvement overall. So we'll take those. I just looked. I just looked at your message, Violet. I realized you're talking about buying scrap from the vendor, which is a good point. So we'll get the Burwitch Riftgate, and then we'll buy scrap from the vendor. But yeah, some of the vendors do sell scrap, which is almost never something you care about, except right here at the beginning of the campaign on a fresh start. Okay. Oh, we got. Speaking of scrap, we just got one from a random mob. It's actually pretty nice. All right, so we got the Riftgate here. So we'll go back to Devil's Crossing now. We have 5 scrap, so actually we can also turn this in. So yeah, we can buy scrap from him. I think we also got some scrap for turning in the quest to Harmon, but I'm not sure.
Did you get this perfect? Well, since I'm in this game.
Okay, so before we go kill Vyloth, we also have the option to get a Slith Primal Ring, which is a significant improvement over what we have now. Yeah. So 12% Poison, Vit, and Elemental Res. Yes, please. Like our resists, top row of resists are starting to look a tiny bit respectable. They're still not great, but we're getting there slowly but surely. Killing the 3 elites gives you scrap as a reward. Good to know. It's one of those things, I guess, you only really pay attention to at the beginning of a campaign. Because when else do you actually care about 3 scrap? Gore stack runs, yeah. Ring of Steel gives you a little more AoE clear, which is kind of... I don't use it when I'm leveling with good gear, but if you don't have solid gear yet, being able to just have AoE with Ring of Steel kind of complements the weakness of Shadow Strike, which Shadow Strike is generally good for single targets, not as good for AoE. Okay, Vigorous of Readiness ring. That's going to give us more health and some Aetheras. Alright. Right now, I'm just putting some points in physique. We're going to be using spirit and such later on, but for now, yeah, these pants give us more armor, physique, cunning, spirit, pierce, poison, bleed res. So these are a little bit of an upgrade. Swapping over to bleed, blade, spirits, and joy meatball. It's a fun build. And we have that devotion point, so we click and we have to bind it to a skill. We'll bind it to a Veil of Shadow for now. So As long as Veil of Shadow is up, Turtle will proc.
Any luck? Well,
Alright, well, hopefully we actually start to get reputation with Devil's Crossing. So this is the trader that we found a letter kind of confirming that he's selling us out. So we can either make a deal with him, or we can just kill him. Usually, unless it's a speed leveling run or something, I opt to kill him.
what's with eye good, you're back. What am I? That's good work. There have been Warden.
Okay, so he's telling us we have to go kill Warden Krieg. Alright, so 25 points in Nightblade lets us take Nidala's Justifiable Ends. And we can also... I'm going to do Ring of Frost for our Ring of Steel. I think that's going to be better overall for us since we're going to be a cold build. Seasoned Weapon is good for Blade Spirit if it's the one I'm thinking of, Meatball.
Greetings, child.
Yeah, the Neomort weapon, exactly. So that's a Forsaken Totem, which is generally a little bit harder than a normal totem. And we have very little Aether Res, so I'm going to avoid that for now. It would probably have been alright, but I'm prioritizing other things. Really, we mostly just want to get to Act 2 so we can start getting Spectral Longswords, which are going to be our main leveling weapon, and just be a tremendous damage upgrade. Yeah, people do crazy stuff to get a lot of HP, especially in season. I mean, you need it for some of the bosses. All right, so once we get our the next Rift Gate, we're going to go back to town. All right, let's go back to town, sell some items. Also, get XP and rep for rescuing the apprentice. All right, so this is a chest piece that we get as a reward for the fabric. It's going to give us health, vit, aether, and elemental res, which is better than what we have. So this is a decent weapon. It converts elemental to fizz, which we don't really want long term, so I'm going to not bother with it. This isn't that useful. Alright, so we're not going to be using the shared stash here. So I'm going to put components and everything in the personal stash while we're leveling this character. Okay, and we also have a quest to find this guy Milton Hart, which we didn't do. And he has a guaranteed drop of a helm. It's a Blitz helmet, so it's not great for us, but it very well may be an improvement over the absolute junk item that we have right now. So worth it for that. Yeah, I think bleed Blade Spirits. You really just need to know that you need at least 24 in Blade Spirits for endgame and a few items, and you're good to go. Okay, so this is going to give us health, poison, and Aether Res. None of the skills do anything for us, but it's still better than what we have, so we'll take it. Also, we can finish Tortoise now. Yeah, armor is always nice.
Troubles you?
And we can claim this back since Tortoise provides 2 yellow affinity, and that makes it self-sustaining once you have all the nodes, so we don't need this node anymore. And we can apply this to something else. We ultimately are going to want to get Murmur, which is going to give us cold resist reduction. So probably the best way to... There are a few ways we can do that. I think for now I'm actually going to take the green crossroads, and we're going to go get Fox, because the last node of Fox gives us attack damage converted to health, which will help keep us alive. We want to be a little bit careful here. There's a lot of enemies. And we have way less health than I'm used to having, so... Glacial Tarnish... Great Axe, I think, is two-handed, so that's not really that useful for us, unfortunately. Ultimately, we're going to be Shadow Strike, but we have to wait until Act 2 for Spectral Longswords. So right now, we just have a few points in it, and that's it. We'll eventually start putting some more points in all of this stuff, though. Yeah, I think... we also need to decide when we want... We're going to be a Spellbreaker, which is a Nightblade Arcanist, so have to decide when we want to choose Arcanist. Whenever Reflect will kill you. True. Nightblade's the best class in the game. Changed my mind. Or best master in the game, rather. No, Death Knight is still alive and well. We're just we're doing a fresh start Nightblade playthrough. So I appreciate the lurk, Braskin. Enjoy. I'll see you around. Alright, so this Sister's Amulet of Life Giving is actually better. It has health, which is kind of important. Our DPS, not great. 552. It goes up a tiny bit if we put components on, but it doesn't really seem to make that much of a difference for us. Alright. This is going to be one of the sketchier parts. Alright, phase 1 was okay. Phase 2 is the more scary part of the Warden fight. The fact that we have the extra Nightblade heal kind of makes this a lot more pleasant than it would be otherwise. And we do have a little bit of Aether Res from our gear. Yeah, Puskwill's Tail is actually not bad early on. But I kind of want to just rush and get Spectral Longswords as soon as possible. But yeah, that's absolutely a reasonable option.
Is it finished? The Warden's defeat is a... So you must... before we do any... I cannot...
Alright, I think it's time to select Arcanist. This is going to give us a bit of flat damage. This is going to give us a bit of a Spirit in OA. We're going to be pushing for Mirror, Mavens, and Nullification. This is 3 seconds of invulnerability. This is % damage absorption. And this we can use to remove debuffs.
So, the three go to the...
So there's also a bunch of lore notes here. If you are speed leveling and doing the lore notes trick, you typically will come here and grab all the notes. So we might as well do that now anyway.
The emissary warned me.
Alright, that's a reflective mob. We want to be very careful around him. Alright, his reflector is down.
The emissary.
I could hear the...
Alright, so we never side with Dreeg, but we're going to because I want his movement rune.
The memories of the forgotten. The eye spoke of this moment.
Farseers sing guided.
So hopefully that that gets us to friendly. These aren't soulbound. You can trade them between characters and such, but since we're doing a fresh start, I'm pretending I don't have any of this, so we're actually picking the faction whose item I care about. Okay. Fortunately, we now have a decent amount of scrap, so... and... we also have the ability to craft a relic now. But I think you have to be level 18 to use it. Yeah, this requires us to be level 18, but... it is going to give us some elemental resist. So next level we'll get there. And once we have the spectral longswords, it'll really I think start to take off a bit. I mean, I think it's more likely that it's not that Nightblade itself is OP. Nightblade is very strong with good piloting, but they're just certain builds and gear sets that are very good. I mean, maybe I don't even know if that's necessary, but I'm also very biased, so could be the wrong person to ask here. Okay, so we got the shrine here. There's a boss here who has a 100% chance to drop one of 3 weapons. One of those is a spectral longsword. So we might just, depending on how that boss fight goes, we might just reset and farm him a couple of times. See if he wants to drop us what we want. It looks like he doesn't have the spectral longsword here, but there's a good chance that whatever he has is still better than what we have now, so. Alright, so he has, looks like the spectral battle axe. Alright, he has 26k health, so this might take a minute. Okay, this requires level 20, which we're not at. Alright, so this gives us some resists, so we're going to swap that out. If this was the good impervious, we might swap that out as well, but I think for now. And this is, if you don't want to dual wield, this is actually not a bad shield, but we're playing a Nightblade, we're 100% going to dual wield. We are level 18, which means we can grab this relic, which is going to be nice for our elemental resistance. Yeah, we've got a bunch of stuff that comes online at level 20. Just, we'll push Arcanist 3 more points. We'll be able to get Mirror. And actually now, I'm going to just do a little bit of farming of that boss, try to get a Spectral Longsword or 2. Because once we get that, our damage is really going to take off. In 2,500 health at level 18 is a tiny bit better than what we had. Still not fantastic, but sort of, for now, it'll be good enough. But we do want to be mindful. Alright, so we got one Spectral Longsword. Again, requires level 20. If we can manage to get a second one, that's going to be amazing for ability. Even one is a game changer early on, but I'm going to be a little bit greedy and do one more run. Looks like another Spectral Longsword. Very nice. Alright. I feel like the thing with the exclusive skill is Nightblade and Demo, you just need a lot more thought of what you're going to pair it with because you're going to be using that class's exclusive skill. Alright, we have a Frostborn, a Frostbite, and a Glacial Frostbite. Let's turn in Quest. Let's get the level 20 so we can actually start doing real damage.
Well, you were Darius. We have to hit them hard and
I'm pretty sure I took the Necro exclusive on Cold Reaper. I guess you cannot do it, but it's giving you a ton of leech. Yeah, I mean, you have other things. Even the kind of crappy exclusive skill for Necro still has some value add. Alright, we need dynamite because we don't have any on a fresh start. We actually have to go into this mine. Yeah, I almost always, well, actually I almost never use the, Alright, if we don't have a heal up, I'm not going to be engaging with this guy. This guy is very sketchy. Alright, well, still need, okay, we have one dynamite, but probably can get a couple more. At least get some royal jelly. Yeah, the pit guy is not fun either, but there's absolutely zero reason to fight him. And the thing with Balthazar is you have to go, if you're on a fresh start and you need dynamite, you have to go in that mine. I guess you could try to avoid him and just find dynamite, but good luck. Alright, level 19, one more level we'll be able to equip our spectral longswords. Right now, Shadow Strike is hitting for about 1,700. theory crafting on the Berserker Leap. Interesting. Yeah, I think I was in the Rex stream. He mentioned that. Okay, I think we're at the point where we can at least only pick up rare items. We still don't have a ton of loot, but... yeah, I'm very curious to look at stuff, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of things that change. Okay, we're friendly with rovers now. Yeah. Giga Chad Warden, thanks for the follow. Welcome in.
Keep your weapon.
Alright, we are almost level 20. So I'm looking forward to seeing what our Shadow Strike damage goes to once we equip the Spectral Longswords. I think we're killing a lot of trash mobs to not level up. Okay, there we go. Okay, we have our panic button now. And, so 1847 max hit damage. We are more than tripling our Shadow Strike damage. Very nice. We'll do some upgrade some components and such at some point too, but yeah, we don't even have that many points in Shadow Strike yet. But yeah, I mean, this just goes to show what a difference maker the monster and frequents are for leveling. You get the ones that support the skill you want to use, and you instantly become much more powerful. Okay, so this is going to give us +2 to Shadow Strike. Our health is already really low. I don't value the damage more than I value staying alive. Hang on. Okay, this is going on, I think, right away. +3 dual blades, +3 Shadow Strike. Yes, we lose a tiny bit of health, but yeah, dramatic improvement. And dual blades is also phys res as well as damage. So yeah, that wins. And we'll just continue pushing Arcanist. Northern Worm is pretty good. I know Rainin's played with it a couple of times. So this is a little bit more resists, a little bit of OA, and much more armor. And okay, now we get all this attack damage converted to health. We could put some points in Spirit to get more damage. Attribute points in general will give you... Physique gives you more HP, but Spirit and Cunning also do give HP. I think you also use chill spikes on with Northern Worm, but I'm not sure if that's the only way to do that. And yeah, I imagine is Ring of Steel, and it doesn't say anything about requiring a melee weapon, so yeah, you probably use Ring of Steel. Yeah, Spellbreaker. Alright, his shield's up. We don't have nullification yet, so we'll just wait for the shield to go down and then attack him. So how much health does this give us? It's only about 100. It's nice, but not amazing. Maybe we actually take this Crushing of Shadows for the plus to Shadow Strike. We're at almost 10k per hit now, which is pretty nice. Alright, so we want to keep some of the crystal for ourselves, which gives us an Aether Cluster. We now have one of these on the bar in case of emergency. Yeah, you get a bunch of clusters in Malmoth, but fresh start, I think you want everyone you can get, especially early on. Let's... Alright, so I guess if we want to do the Royal Jelly quest, we have to go down here into this hive. Lightning res is not great, but for normal, hopefully it's okay. Okay, this is level 22. It's more health, it's more energy, it has Piercing Chaos Res. I think, even though it's an Inquisitor item, I think we probably take it for now. We're going to have to be around level 35 and honored with Homestead before we can even get the Elena necklace. I pretty intensely dislike going to the conflagration unless I'm playing a regen build. I don't like Aether Ground. Alright, so we have a combat shrine here. There's also another let's kill the healers. So there's going to be a problem. So we were already having some mana issues without even putting a ton of points into Shadow Strike, so I think for mana purposes, we're going to just use all the plus the skills that we have and not put a lot more in. So I don't want to run out of mana every time I Shadow Strike twice. We have a reflect mob, which I don't really want to fight. But I guess he's following us, so he may not have a choice. Oh. I'm gonna wait for his reflect aura to go away. Alright, yeah, Nomos Dread doesn't have the Spectral Longsword, so I'm not going to bother killing him. Drop a portal here, get the next Rift Gate, come back. We'll probably wrap up in about 20 minutes, I think. Alright, we'll put 1 point of Maven Sphere protection. Even that 1 point gets us 6% damage absorption, which is pretty crazy. Well, 1 point Arcane Will as well. It's sort of a secondary circuit breaker. And yeah, we'll push. We need 4 more in Arcanist for nullification, but we'll get there soon enough. Okay, so here are all of our components. If you're not doing a fresh start, you'd use cold stones. I think you have to be higher level for cold stones as well, but I'm not being super strict with buying blueprints and things like that. That is something that would slow you down a little bit in the actual game, but let's put some corpse dust, which is going to give us health and vitality resistance on our rings. Okay. Could also use a frozen heart, but a little late for that. What do we can actually take an ectoplasm, I suppose. We're going to use the Overprax Sting. So I'll put that on instead. Alright, health is up to about 3150, which isn't terrible. Physique we're probably going to put more points in on a fresh start to be conservative, at least until we figure out what endgame looks like. Alright, let's see. Do we have anything that goes in chest armor? We do have ancient armor plates. We'll put one in the legs. I'm hoping to get like a Chains of Oleron or Hallowed Ground for the chest armor. Glove, or is it hand armor? Spellwoven threads aren't bad. We want Unholy Inscription or Consecrated Wrappings, though. It looks like we have one mark at the Traveler for now. So yeah, not a ton of components at the moment, but yeah, our Chaos Res is terrible. We will ultimately fix that, but that's going to take a little bit of time. Yeah, at least 50 physique, and like if you're going to use something like Shattered Realm set, you're going to need more than 50 physique, but alright. And this Crossroads is going to get us more health. We're going to take Viper, which is going to give us OA and percent reduced resistances, which is the weirdest of the 3 types of resist reduction. But since we are since percent resist reduction is sort of multiplicative and not additive, which means that depending on what your other resist reduction reduces enemy resist to, you may not be getting the full 20. You might be getting, 10% or less. Also note, Viper, it says this absolutely nowhere, but Viper's resist reduction only applies if you're doing attacks with percent weapon damage. There's no reason anyone would know that, except that's just how it works, and Crate isn't exactly giving a great tooltip everywhere. A lot of great stuff in Grim Dawn. Some of the tooltips are not the best, though. Guardians have their own... Like, there are a couple of items that give increased attack speed to Guardians. So they sort of have their own attack speed scaling. They kind of do their own thing, like Blade Spirits. They do scale with player damage bonuses, and obviously their OA is based on your OA, but attack speed is separate.
You're back. Is there anything I could...
I guess we might need Respected with Devil's Crossing to do the dynamite.
Well, the world... Damn it, now that we're not in it.
Which I guess we have now. So we'll take the dynamite quest from Kasparov.
Yes, it...
Oh wait, I guess we had enough dynamite. I was thinking we may not have, but I guess we do. That's actually pretty good.
Come, friend, right to business.
So this quest, there's a bunch of ways you can do it. You can bribe the guy who waits out here, but once you kill Cronley, he runs off, and you can just turn it in. So, we normally only are going to be in here on Ultimate if you're doing normal sort of speed leveling stuff, because you have the merit and you can just avoid even coming in here. But since we're doing Fresh Start, we actually have to fight Voldrak on all difficulties. He is probably the scariest boss you face while leveling. He can absolutely one-shot you with his slam attack. And even his side swipe can hurt quite a bit. Bolvar is scary too, yeah, I'll give you that. But I think Bolvar is okay if you just have Chaos Res, which, granted, early on you don't. We can kind of hit and run him, though. And there he goes. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. I guess while we're here, we should probably do the totem as well. Yeah, spawns there weren't bad. Yeah, Coliseum boss is completely optional.
Well, if I haven't been in, I came up.
Okay, we now have nullification, which is pretty huge. Our HP is 3600 at level 24, so 150 per level. Which for a I mean, obviously you want more, but for a fresh start, that's not bad. Yeah, I think the scariest thing about Bolvar is just that you're wandering around minding your own business, trying to find the insignias or Malkadar's remains or whatever else, and then Bolvar just shows up with very little warning. Some of these guys might do chaos damage, so I know they do Vit, but let's be a bit more careful. Yeah, if you have global Fizz to Fire or skill specific Fizz to Fire conversion, either way, like your physical retaliation will convert to fire retaliation. Technically, you can just click on Dahlia and you don't have to fight the boss, but On a sort of fresh start, I feel like you want to kill bosses and see if they drop anything good, even if their MI isn't good for you. You never know when they might just have a good roll on something. 'Cause, I mean, we need resist, we need armor, we need pretty much everything. Okay, Shroud of Cage Souls is pure garbage. And I think we have to keep the Murderer's Breastplate. We might go back to Cronley's and get a higher level one at some point, but yeah, there's no way we don't keep something with +3 dual blades, +3 Shadow Strike for leveling purposes. That's about as good as it gets for a Nightblade. Obviously, if you're leveling in Lokar set doing speed leveling, you don't use it, but otherwise there's no reason not to use that MI. So we can actually go back and tell this guy that we found his sister. That'll activate Homestead as a faction. And that brings us to level 25. But we are going to want to get dual blades pretty high up, at least to soft cap for the Fizz Res and the flat damage that we're converting. But we'll put 1 point in Overload. This gives us some OA, Aether Res, damage over time. And yeah, we'll just continue to push the Mastery Bar. For Arcanist, eventually we'll be putting more points in Maven's Sphere of Protection. Inner Focus, obviously, for the OA. Nightblade, Veil of Shadow, and Night's Chill for resist reduction. Pneumatic Burst for more heal. We have a lot of stuff that we want to put points in, but we also want to push for Star Pact and get there in a reasonable time period. So we'll see right now. Yeah, we have 22 in Arcanist. And 25 in Nightblade. So that's 47 points out of about 72. So it's actually a little more than half our points have gone into the Mastery Bar thus far. I think typically a good rule of thumb is around 50% skills, 50% mastery, but that's going to vary a bit depending on what you're trying to do. Like right now, our Shadow Strike damage is good enough that we're not worried about doing more damage, so we can kind of put points in the Mastery Bar and slowly go forward. Hey Max, welcome in. We're just wrapping up. We're doing this fresh start. I'll get a Grim Tools for where we are at level 25. I'm just going to see if there are any components that we can put on. Yeah, that's the other thing, Viley. If you have MIs and we have Spectral Longswords, which are what you want for Cold Shadow Strike. Okay, Unholy Inscription. We'll put this on these gloves. Could also have done Consecrated Wrappings for attack speed and Chaos Res, but like Unholy Inscription is better overall because of the leech. And we don't care as much about attack speed since we're doing Shadow Strike. Yeah, we still have... Let's see, 40,000... Resilient Plating. That's actually something we can craft. I think that's a blueprint you start with. Silk Swatch might be 2, so... So technically, I guess we're cheating a tiny bit because you need scavenge plating for resilient plating. I'm just going to craft one silk swatch. So the component crafting will take from whatever stash you have. There's not a ton I can do about that, unfortunately, but you're still getting a pretty good idea of what a fresh start's going to look like. So let's see. I'll get you guys the Grim tools. We'll find someone off to raid. So we can re-raid Johnny. Yeah, I mean, realistically, I'll look at what do we need for a cold stone, because realistically, I think it's probably not that big of a deal to craft. All right, so yeah, this is where we are at level 25. We'll be either on Saturday or Tuesday. We'll be continuing this character. I might just play this through until 94 and be doing the fresh start Spellbreaker for a while before I get back to some of my other builds. But I'll let you guys know that on Saturday. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Let's go say hi to Johnny, and I'll see you guys over there.